Well, here's a live look we have for you at Everbank on this gloomy Monday morning.
Gloomy is right. The Jaguars now without a head coach. They're going to start to get ready for this week's game against the Tennessee Titans. And this time they play on Saturday.
Christmas Eve day.
Yeah, but at 2 o'clock, though, big news. The Jaguars are holding a news conference to announce who will serve as the interim head coach for the remaining games this season.
Shad Khan released his statement yesterday after the Jaguars lost to the Texans. It reads, "I thought it would be best to do it immediately after today's results so Gus can step away, relax, and regroup with his family during the Christmas and holiday season."
Channel 4's Brian Jackson and Ashley Harding are now live at Everbank, but we're going to start with Ashley this morning. You actually talked to one of the players, Ashley.
Yes, I did, Alicia. Roy Miller made his way to the gates right here. You may recall he is the defensive tackle who was out early in the season after tearing his Achilles. Now, he was also the player who tweeted last night about his boss saying, quote, "Gus Bradley will one day be known as a mastermind. We let you down, Gus. Sometimes innovators are ahead of their time." Now, we saw that he had a very somber look about him. You could tell that this was a very hard and difficult thing for him to speak about. We noticed several players making their way through, and most of them did not want to comment, but Roy Miller did talk about his boss briefly with us and how he feels about this. Here's what he told us.
We got the guys to play, and I don't know. I think that's why everybody's so frustrated, because they don't know. And I don't know what more I can say about it. I'm personally upset as a leader of a team. You know, I feel like, you know, my injury, you know, I wasn't out there, you know, to help Gus, you know, to help him, you know, keep the guys, you know, in a place where, you know, as a leader, I would have them. And so I take responsibility. I think a lot of guys right now this morning are doing the same. And I feel bad. He's a great man, a great coach, and I think this city's, you know, going to miss him.
Have you had a chance to talk to him yet, or no? Or
yeah, I talked to him, and you know, I think it's exactly what you would expect. Like I said, he's a great coach, great family. You know, it's just a hard time right now.
And you could hear Roy Miller. He said he has spoken to his boss since that news broke. He didn't want to go into what their conversation was like. Obviously, this is a very difficult thing. It's really been a somber feeling for the most part here at Everbank Field. And the question now is, who is going to be the new, not only interim head coach, but the new full-time head coach for the upcoming season? Let's check in now with Brian Jackson.
Thank you, Ashley. And this was not how this season was supposed to go for the Jaguars. Obviously, there were high expectations by fans and even by the media here. I mean, the Jaguars have made a lot of additions through free agency and through the draft. And even before the season, Shad Khan said that it was everyone's reasonable expectation that the Jaguars would have at least a winning record in 2016. However, it did not shake out that way. It started with a Week 1 close loss here at Everbank Field to the Green Bay Packers. In Week 2, the Jaguars went out to San Diego, and that was obviously an embarrassing loss. And it was at that time where the rumors about Gus Bradley's status here in Jacksonville started to surface. Now, the Jaguars would respond eventually with a win in London over the Indianapolis Colts, and they responded with that the week after that with a win at Chicago. At that point, the Jaguars were 2-3 on the season. They still had at least a chance to compete for the AFC South title, but things have been just downhill from there. They've lost 9 games in a row since that late game-winning touchdown grab by Aurelius Ben in Chicago. But it's been the way that the Jaguars have lost these last 7 games especially. A lot of fans and people have been asking, have the Jaguars, are they still playing for Gus Bradley? And I would say the answer is yes. And you can really see it by the outcomes of their last couple of games. The loss in Kansas City, the final score was 19-14. The Jaguars had a chance to win that game in the fourth quarter. Of course, Chris Ivory fumbled right at the goal line. If that call goes the opposite way, maybe the Jaguars get a win there. The next week in Houston, 24-21 loss, another close loss. In Detroit, 26-19 loss. The Jaguars are driving in the fourth quarter, have a chance to win, not able to finish. Same thing in Buffalo, another late fourth quarter drive comes up short for the Jaguars. The Denver game, a 20-10 loss. Minnesota 25-16 loss. Jaguars actually had a 16-12 lead going into the fourth quarter of that game. It's just been a theme all season long. The Jaguars have either held a lead late in the fourth quarter or were within one or two scores. They just haven't been able to finish, and everything obviously came to a head during yesterday's game. The Jaguars had a lead going into the fourth quarter once again, but they came up short with the final score of 21-20 in Houston, and that's when they decided that they had had enough of Gus Bradley and Shad Khan, made the decision to move on. There was one tweet that I would like to reach from you guys from Telvin Smith. All of the guys in this locker room, they really, really love Gus Bradley. Obviously, he's a player's coach, and they have a lot of respect for him. Telvin Smith said, "We didn't achieve the goals we wanted, but I'll love and respect you forever. I know where your heart was and the love you have for the game. I'm not worried about either of our future success because we've already paid the price. I have nothing but love for you, and I know you'll bounce back even harder." Also got a chance to catch up with defensive end Dante Fowler Jr. just a few minutes ago. I'm sure we will try to turn that around and get that to you guys coming up very shortly. For now, reporting at Everbank Field, Brian Jackson, Channel 4, the local station.